I've always wanted to ask you, John. What's this Purim story all about?
Well, I'm glad you asked me, Rick. It goes something a little bit like this.
Listen up, the story of Purim. It all started
when Achashverosh, the king in Shushan,
wants to make a feast.
And he invited everyone from the surrounding towns to come to this party.
It's all the Jews came to. There's lots of food and lots of wine.
And what was it?
So basically, the king commands Queen Vashti and says,
Hey, come down there! I want you to be part of my party!
And she refuses for the same reason most of us would refuse, because
she said it would have been a bit too cold to come the way that Achashverosh wanted it to come. So
she's horrified. So she sends a message back to the king, and she says,
absolutely not. Never in a million years.
I will not come to your party! I will not do it!
Achashverosh responded, Right, that's it. She's gone.
So Vashti, the wife of the king himself, didn't obey the king's orders.
That's quite a different part of the story.
So Achashverosh has killed his beautiful darling wife, as most people do.
So he asked his noblemen to find him a new wife, and they search far and wide.
to find the most beautiful and suitable wife to be his queen. And all the ladies are queuing up, doing their makeup, trying to look pretty.
Lots of jewellery, lots of nice dresses.
they wore their beautiful clothes. They even made sure that their contour was perfect, and that their teeth were clean and brushed.
In order that they should be, he would select the finest wife that he wanted.
Then one Jewish girl called Esther went and tried to impress the King Ahasuerus.
And funnily enough, Esther, who didn't really want to be the queen, was chosen.
Her uncle Mordechai told her, do not say that you're Jewish. He doesn't like Jews.
Meanwhile, one night, Mordechai's going for a walk
And heard two of the king's guards, Big Son and Seresh, plotting to kill the king.
And he decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and tell the king what's going on.
And the king is so impressed with Mordecai that he writes him down in the Book of Chronicles.
But then came along Haman.
Who plotted the king's news on a certain day?
Haman walks around with this idol around his neck.
Thought that he was the best thing since life spread.
He wanted everyone to bow down to him.
And Jews don't feel so comfortable like that because there's only one king.
Everybody bowed down except Mordecai the Jew.
Obviously, Jews have to make it difficult for everyone.
And he was really angry and basically shouted
That Jew! That filthy, dirty Jew!
and asked his wife, Zeresh, what to do.
She said,
Get rid of him!
And he came to King Ahasuerus and said to him, King Ahasuerus, there is a people in your nation. They're spread out all over the whole empire.
So Haman's pretty happy to hang the Jews and says, I'll build something that is really tall and really high, and I'll put something around their neck, and I'll call it the gallows. Or maybe it's already been invented, and maybe we'll just use that anyway.
Mordechai hears about the decree.
He gets out his sackcloth and his ashes.
Esther came down and saw him crying. He's like, why are you crying? He said, didn't you hear? Haman decreed that on the 13th of Adar, all the Jews are going to be killed. You have to do something. You're the queen. Esther, you can go and save her. He told Esther, you have to do something. You have to tell your husband, King Ahasuerus, that your people are about to be murdered, about to be killed in one day, and because of one man.
Esther says to Mordechai, I can't go to the king without being invited.
Mordecai had told Esther, you must go to the king and save us all! Save us all!
Mordecai said to his thief, he said, Esther, you're in the palace, you're there with the king. You need to tell him, you need to save the Jews. Go to the king and request that he saves the Jewish people.
Maybe this is why you were the appointed queen. Maybe this is it. You have to go.
So luckily the king sees her.
And puts out the Shalvit Hazav, which is the golden...
The scepter!
Golden,
The sculpture?
whatever it is.
The stick!
After that, Queen Esther went to Ahasuerus and asked, please can I have a favour?
He said, no, Ahasuerus, I want to invite you to a party. So he said, oh, a party, very nice.
The king Ahasuerus and Esther the queen are sitting together at the party.
At the meal, Achashverosh says, okay, great meal, great food, sushi, gefilte fish, charlotte chicken soup,
Biscuits, crumpets, dumplings.
Pagoda, JS, ham.
Salted fish, cheese, dip tuna.
And pasta and tortellini and tagliatelle.
Chocolate bars, twirl bites.
Creamed whippets, roasted lollipops, pickled mice.
Golden turnips, horse meat, ice cream.
Pink lemonade!
Pasta, tomatoes, salad.
Probably pig.
And Esther said, my one request from you is that you come back to another party tomorrow.
One night, the king was struggling to fall asleep. He was turning from one side to the other side and he could not fall asleep.
Not quite sure why.
He was tossing and turning all night long. Something was disturbing him. Maybe he needed a toilet.
What would you do if you can't sleep?
He says, bring me my books to remind me of the past stories of my rulership.
Please, come somebody, read to me from my book of Chronicles.
And there is the story that Mordechai saved the king's life. And he says, wow, it's been a couple of years. I haven't rewarded him.
He calls Haman in from the garden and he says to him, Haman, my right hand, what would you do to somebody who did the best for the king and saved his life?
So Haman thinking, oh, this is definitely all about me, innit, lad?
So Haman said he should be sitting on the best white horse in town with all the honor in the world, people taking him down, streets of people bowing down to him.
The king says, yes, I like it, good idea, mate. So do that, but do it for Mordechai. To which Haman responded, no!
So Mordechai was riding around Shushan on the king's horse.
And he's waving at the crowds like the queen herself would do and going,
Hello! Hello! Oh my goodness, it just dented.
Haman was disgusted. All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door.
I'm going to take him to the party. And Achashverosh there asks, what is it you want, Esther?
Esther said to Achashverosh, there's somebody trying to kill me! Someone's trying to kill me!
And the king turns to him and he says, who would ever want to do something like that?
King Ahasuerus, there's this guy who's wicked and dirty and smelly and not very nice at all, and he's trying to wipe out my people.
Esther said, it's Haman.
Dun dun dun!
At that moment, Haman goes over to Esther.
And said, please forgive me! Forgive me! Forgive me!
So the king comes in, sees what Haman's doing, and he says, "Hey, darling, don't worry. That disgusting man, I will get him hung."
And he says to Haman, "Halichvosh et ishti bebeti,"
which basically translates to mean,
hang him on the gallows.
So that's what they did, and this festival became one where
they danced, they ate bread, they had drinking chocolate from Cadbury's.
They give charity, they give out presents and prizes, and food of course.
And there's a massive party. Woohoo!
And they all celebrate!
Yes!
All the Jews of Shushan and around the world live happily ever after.
And that was the end of the Purim story.
Well, Rabbi, now you've explained it all, I think it's absolutely, totally and utter brilliant.